What's up, guys? It's CB. I'm sure everyone's heard by now that Trump took away de minimis for Japan shipments, which means that anything coming from Japan, no matter what the value is subject to a 15% tariff on top of it. This policy is supposed to go into effect at the end of August and the beginning of September. So starting September 1st, every shipment that comes into Japan will be subject to a 15% increase. Before this rule was into place, anything over the amount of $800 was subject to that tariff, and anything under $800, it could still be imported for free. So a lot of stores, including myself, were pretty much buying just below that threshold and then shipping it to different addresses to avoid the tariff. But now, starting at the end of this month, that is no longer possible. Everyone's initial reaction, including myself, was that Japanese Pokemon cards would no longer be affordable. Instead of paying $75 for a Black Bolt, you're now paying $85 plus, when that initial 75 price point was already maybe double over MSRP. But Japanese MSRP doesn't really exist these days, right? But that's just making a point. But yeah, that was my initial reaction as well. But after thinking this through and talking with my Japanese suppliers, we've all kind of come up with the same sort of conclusion. If Japanese booster box prices stay at the same price point that they're at right now, you would then have to pay a 15% tax on top of it, along with a 15 to 20% margin that stores are trying to make in order to make money and stay alive, right? The end consumer is now paying extra 35 to 40% of the original Japanese booster box price. And at that point, I don't think the end consumer will find enough value to be paying that and ripping open that box. And so we believe the demand will plummet. But here's why I don't think that's gonna happen. As we were talking about this more when the news broke, they were telling me that overseas demand for Japanese Pokemon cards, especially the USA, is responsible for a lot of the Japanese supply. We were guessing that maybe a third of all Japanese booster boxes are shipped overseas, and majority of it be in the USA. And that's actually one of the major reasons why the prices of Japanese booster boxes are as high as they are right now. So what happens when you take away a third of the demand for Japanese booster boxes? Still using our hypothetical 1/3 here, now a third of all Japanese products, right? All Japanese booster boxes remain in Japan because the US doesn't think it's worth it anymore to import at those current prices and pay a 15% tariff on top and add another 15 to 20% to make their margins. So now that supply remains in Japan. Now we have an abundance of supply, an extra 1/3 of total inventory in Japan, and the demand is no longer there. What happens to the prices? The prices will eventually come down. So in my opinion, the Japanese booster box prices will drop to a point where the US thinks that, hey, it's reasonable to pay this price with a 15% tariff and my 15% markup, and the end consumer will still have enough demand to buy the product. At the end of the day, Japanese suppliers will be selling it for less than they were before. The English USA card shops will be paying the same price as they were before, and the end consumer will also be paying the same price as they were before. But where's that extra 15% going? The US government. That's what I think will happen. So to put this all into numbers, right? Let's say the new mega set that's coming out is $100 pre-tariff. $100, I, as a card shop, I buy it at $100, I sell it for $115, I make $15 per box, right? My 15% margins, the end consumer still thinks $115 is a fair price, they'll buy it. Post-tariff, right, if the numbers stay the same, $100 for the mega box, 15% tariff, another 15% on top, $135 end price for the booster box. I don't think many consumers will buy at that price. So the Japan market will have to lower their price so people will buy it, right? They lower their price to $85. I buy it, the same product, pay the 15%. I know it's gonna be less than 100, but for the sake of this argument, $100 still my cost. $115 is still gonna be my markup. The consumer still pays $115. They have the same demand. Hey, it was the same price as before. This still makes sense for me. I'm happy, consumer's happy. The only person that's not happy is the Japanese suppliers, because they now have to charge $15 less, and that extra $15 of margin goes to the US government. I hope that makes sense. So at the end of the day, I do think this will have an obvious effect on the Japanese Pokemon card market, but I don't think it's going to be as significant as everyone thinks that it's going to be, at least on the booster box side. Now, for specialty boxes, specialty collection boxes, or singles or slabs, I think that's going to have the most impact. That's where I think the tariffs will make things more expensive, but because the production is so much lower, the demand is still there for it, then the end consumer will have to pay an extra 15%. Poncho Pikachus, the specialty collection boxes, the Tauka with the Pikachu promo, I think those boxes will end up being more expensive than they are now. But as far as booster boxes go, I believe we're going to see a spike as people try to get in as many boxes as possible before the tariffs go in, but then demand goes down, booster box prices fall, and the booster box prices in the US will stabilize as the same as they are right now. So if you think differently, if I missed something, please let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about all this. Would love to have a chat with it. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye. By the way, I do want to give a quick shout out to Pokebull. I know I personally haven't made a investment video in a while, but if you are still interested in the investor kind of Poke content, this channel right here makes 2 videos a day just showing TCG market prices and kind of talking through how the market is reacting. So if you're interested in that, give Pokebull a sub.